Today on CityCast DC, I'm here with Axios' Cuynet Deal and CityCast's Ashe Durban, and we are talking about the gun lawsuit filed by the DC Attorney General, the DC medical marijuana dispensaries who say they're in trouble, and a bunch of things to do this weekend. Today is Friday, September 6th. I'm Michael Schaefer, and here's what DC is talking about. Hey, Cuynet.
Hey, Michael.
Hey, Ashe.
Hey.
So I need to start with a tip today from DC's Homeland Security and Emergency Management Agency about their preparedness campaign. It's called Ready DC. September is National Preparedness Month, and while it is important to plan throughout the year, September serves as a reminder to have plans in place and to figure out what your plans could be or to help yourself make them. Visit ready.dc.gov/NPM2024 to get started. Happy National Planning Month, everybody. All right, so the Attorney Generals of D.C. and Maryland, or maybe I should say the Attorneys General of D.C. and Maryland, have filed lawsuits against a couple of gun stores in Montgomery County. And these gun stores' alleged misdeed is selling a bunch of guns to the same person, a Mr. Minor, who, according to the suits, was clearly exhibiting the patterns of someone doing straw purchasing for gun smuggling. That is to say, he was going to buy these guns, a lot of them, I think 25 from one of the stores and 9 over a very short period of time from another, clearly demonstrating that he was going to then turn them around and sell them maybe to people who are not allowed to have guns or dodgy people who, at any rate, went on to commit crimes. And so this is for DC at least, this is the latest sort of moment with our Attorney General where he has sort of filed suit over something, a hot button national political issue where there's an impasse. In this case, the idea is, look, you can convict the schmuck who's holding the gun in the crime, but their theory of the case is if you really want to cut into gun violence, you've got to go get it at the source where the people who are improperly enabling bad guys to get guns. And it's going to be sort of another sort of moment in the spotlight for the attorneys general. What do you guys make of this?
The first thing I thought here was this is a problem DC has faced with Virginia usually, where Virginia has lax gun laws, and a lot of the guns that end up in DC crime scenes, you can trace them back to Virginia in the past. I mean, it's no surprise that Virginia wasn't like outspoken about this kind of a thing. I don't know if they found any like similar actors in Virginia as well to go after, but they wouldn't crack down on their own gun shops, I'm sure. But yeah, this is interesting for Schwab in particular, who, like his predecessor, is going for sort of a more national profile with this kind of lawsuit that will also, I think, please a lot of locals here who are obviously afraid of the guns flowing into the district.
Is this a general trend that this is the way that guns come into DC? They're bought from stores in Maryland or Virginia and then kind of illegally passed or sold to people living within DC? Yeah,
even after the Supreme Court decision, it's a big pain in the butt to get a gun in DC. Even if it was totally legal, there's not that many stores. Law of supply and demand would say, well, there's not that many stores, prices are going to be higher. But DC, expressing, I think, the will of the residents, makes it pretty difficult to get a gun. The Supreme Court's made it easier, but DC, it makes it as difficult as is legally possible. And so I think going back, it's always going to be the case that people go out of town to buy them. Just the same way a lot of people go out of town to buy milk. Not because there's anything wrong with DC milk, but just the stores are pretty convenient out there. But in this case, you're not allowed to just turn around and do a straw purchase and funnel it to someone else, particularly someone with a criminal record.
Yeah.
But, this is the officials who filed these suits are, I think rightly sort of basking in the sun about it. I always find these things kind of embarrassing that, like, look, this is a society where we are just unable to, rationally have rules about guns and more broadly police against criminal violence. And so we have to do these crazy sort of bank shot things where you're suing one person civilly in order to prevent criminal actions. And I don't fault them for doing the suit or anything, but it's like a Rube Goldberg machine of justice entirely to evade our kind of national political dysfunction.
I guess you gotta do what you can, I suppose, is what they might think.
Of course, of course. And again, I'm not in their shoes, but I just like the big picture of it all just seems kind of cringy to me.
If you take a step back, right, like this, again, like you said, this is going after the source versus the. Um, I mean, you can go after the criminal, obviously, to a certain extent, but this goes after the source. And for Schwab, his hands are tied. He can't go after violent criminals in the district. That's a different prosecutor. The federal prosecutor does handle all that. And this is what he can do. This is someone who allegedly bought 34 guns from these three Montgomery County gun stores in over 6 months. And then I believe it was 9 incidents where they showed up in crime scenes.
And in that person's case, when he was arrested, his attorneys argued this is a disadvantaged person. You shouldn't sentence him to jail time. He eventually got a rather short sentence, and so the logic was, well, if the justice system is not going to throw the book at the middleman, and maybe the middleman doesn't deserve to have the book thrown at him, you should go to the source. And that's sort of what's been done here. But it's been done only because the law doesn't provide stronger ways of stopping the source, i.e., not allowing handguns, and
Right.
because we've not managed to dissuade the perp who winds up with the gun from doing bad stuff.
Right. I mean, context again. Virginia historically is overwhelmingly where guns come from. This Maryland is like number two, but pretty far away. In 2018, there were 600 guns almost seized in the district that came from Virginia, according to a Post story I'm reading here, and that's where you need to go after really if you want to stop the bulk of the guns coming into the city.
So we are going to have Brian Schwab, the DC Attorney General, on the pod soon. So people, you should send in your questions to us about what to ask him about this or about a whole bunch of other stuff that is where the laws of DC hit the road. Wait, so Cuynet, you wrote this week, speaking of like Rube Goldberg machines and cumbersome legal situations, about the cannabis business, specifically the medical cannabis dispensaries, which were the first sort of toe under the tent of legalization a few years ago, uh, are now having a hard time with the sort of more non-medical, like customer-facing uh, brand of quasi-legal weed dealing. Can you explain what's going on?
Yeah, so these legal medical marijuana dispensaries are a few of them in the district, but they say they're being squeezed by the more ubiquitous I-71 weed shops. These are these sort of gifting enterprises where, wink, wink, you buy juice, I suppose, and then you get your marijuana for free or however it works. I mean, there are hundreds of them now, so they all have their different maybe methods, but they're caught on one hand by these I-71 weed shops, and on the other hand, you have the cannabis market in Maryland, which is completely legal, recreational. You can walk into a shop, just hop across the border, and it's really frictionless to purchase cannabis now. And they really are urging the district, the mayor specifically here, to crack down hard on the I-71 shops, which is sort of operating in a gray area. It's not legal, frankly, but um, these dispensaries, which go through licensing and regulations and have to source their product from DC growers, they say they're basically on the verge of shutting down. One of these shops I spoke to, District Cannabis, which has a cultivation center in Northeast, they say they haven't broken even practically any month this year. And the city actually has a uh, on ramp for these I-71 shops to become legal medical shops, but it's moving very slowly. And a lot of them I don't think, want to become.
Well, right. Why would you want to become a
Yeah,
legal medical
right.
shop if you're doing a okay business without having to get all those licenses?
Exactly. Yeah. And if you're not being padlocked or shut down, um, they can source their marijuana from anywhere. It's cheaper. You don't have all these regulations. And the biggest impediment for the medical shops is you have to still self-certify that you're that you need medical cannabis, which frankly is really easy to do. You just sign your own, I guess, name and signature. You don't need a doctor's note anymore in DC. But a lot of customers come in, they find out they have to sign forms and stuff, and they just walk out, is what I'm told. And they can just go to an I-71 shop.
Wait, so can you just walk us back through how we got to this system?
Yeah, it's really complicated. I mean,
Do the simple version.
yeah, I mean, DC has legal marijuana. You can grow it and give it for free, but you can't sell it still. Congress blocks DC from allowing commercial sales of recreational marijuana. And so 2 years ago, DC wanted to make it easier for the medical shops to expand. And they made it easier for them to expand and open. They also made it so anyone, like I said, could self-certify for medical cannabis if you're 21 and older. And the I-71 shops still flourish though, because it's a cheaper product and it's easier, and they can open up and spread all over the place in DC, sometimes multiple on the same single block. So this has caused 5 legal dispensaries to go out of business in the past 2 years, according to this group.
If I recall correctly, the medical marijuana thing, that's like 10, 15 years old. And it began
Yeah.
as you had to, go to a doctor and be like, I'm anxious. And the doctor would say like, well, it sounds like you need medical marijuana. They would give you the paperwork, and that was required. There's all these rules about these dispensaries, about the amount of security they have to have, about custody over the product. It's a bit of a pain in the butt, but at the time when there was nothing else in DC, people were happy to jump through those hoops and pay those costs of security and everything. Then this sort of quasi-legal thing wound up enabling them to have a lot of competitors who didn't have the same costs. And I guess now you don't even have to go to a doctor, you're saying, to be a customer of a medical marijuana dispensary.
You can write in and sign a form.
So, is there any reason to believe that the weed at these gifting shops is unsafe?
I mean, like, I don't want to fearmonger, but um, I mean, at the end of the day, it's not sourced from a regulated, sort of licensed cultivator. It might be, it might not be, though. And what some lawmakers say is that some of these places sell contaminated products occasionally. You just don't know, honestly. It's really case by case, and there's no real mechanism to prove some of that.
I'm having a hard time figuring out, like, should I feel bad for the medical marijuana dispensaries? Do they deserve to be protected by busting these other places?
It almost seems maybe like they took a wrong business decision, even though it's like the legal one. You know what I mean? That's kind of what it sounds like to me.
I mean, like, if these places were all to go out of business, would we lose anything as a city, as a community? I mean, do those places provide sounder medical advice? Do they have people on staff who are, variously credentialed in ways that, like, the guy at the t-shirt weed store is not?
I think so. I mean, I think that's the point. And DC is gonna eventually move to a point where all of the shops, it's what they want. All the shops are these licensed medical shops, at least in name. And you have 75 of these I-71 shops applying to become dispensaries. 13 of their applications were accepted, and then 2 more are apparently going to open soon.
Why do they want to do that?
Because technically, you can't just operate as these I-71 shops. It's only a matter of time until DC cracks down and actually shuts one of them down. They've sent cease and desist letters to these I-71 shops. They've sent, in some cases, warnings before the cease and desist orders. And if you ignore that enough times, theoretically, you'll get padlocked. Now, DC hasn't padlocked any stores. I mean, if you look at New York City, where Mayor Eric Adams is out front, wanting to padlock their marijuana gifting shops. DC hasn't done that yet. I spoke to Council Chair Phil Mendelson. He told me, after speaking to regulators, that he is of the impression they are on the verge of padlocking the first I-71 business that's non-compliant. So he's very gung-ho. He doesn't like these I-71 shops at all. He hopes there will be more to follow. The mayor is not gung-ho on closing them just yet, at least. And they want to give some sort of opportunity for them to become legitimate dispensaries.
I don't mean to sound like some like free market extremist or something, but like if there's a product that we have decided as a society is okay, and a bunch of people want it, and they want to get it this way, is going through the charade of this is a medical thing really that like great and noble a thing? You know, like you can't self-certify to go get medications at your CVS. Um, so like there's a good amount of BS baked into the cake there, and like I get that there's a higher level of regulation, but that's, I mean, obviously the answer would be to like have this product be legal and stop going through this other ridiculous charade of you're buying a T-shirt and getting a gift. But like, I'm having a harder time seeing the argument for this crackdown that Mendelssohn wants.
Yeah, I mean, I guess when you think of liquor stores, right? You don't have liquor stores uh, selling wine produced out of their basement or something. I mean, that's the other argument, right? So the DC wants a legit market like that exists in California and Maryland now and Washington State. They just can't fully do that because of Congress. So they want to have some semblance of that with these dispensary statuses, with the status of a dispensary.
Meanwhile, in the next couple of days, it's the weekend. And Ash, you've been watching the calendar, and there's a
That's
bunch
right.
of weird stuff on your list for this
Yeah.
weekend. What's going on?
So I pulled most of these from Kayla's events that are in the newsletter Hey DC and also on our website dc.citycast.fm/events. I tried to pick the kind of wackiest ones, kind of the ones that I thought I would be most interested to go to. First one being a table tennis showdown at Union Market. This is on Saturday at 2 p.m. It's free to watch, but it's $50 to play. You guys nice at ping pong?
No.
It's been since high school since I played.
I am also pretty bad, so I'd probably go to watch. I did like some of the Olympics ping pong, so I might have to tap into that. You can win like a bunch of different prizes if you win. It doesn't sound like any of us would be winners, but
What can you win?
gift cards to Maman Bakery and Spot of Tea, some reusable glasses from Spot of Tea. You get a trophy if you win, which I think would be pretty cool bragging rights to like have a ping pong trophy in the crib. But all the money goes to charity, so that's a good one. And then also on Saturday is the state fair that we talked about in our September guide. That's 10 to 5 p.m. at Franklin Park downtown. It's free.
Junaid, are you going to enter a pie this year?
Uh, you know, show me where, and I'll try to see what I have. Honestly not been to our state fair, so I'm kind of intrigued by what kind of crowds it grabs.
Yeah, I've never been either. It's kind of an interesting, we talked about it on the September guide, but to like push that like country state fair style into the middle of DC could be interesting. I definitely have not had enough corn dogs this summer, so I might have to hit that one up.
Are there corn dogs?
I have to imagine. I didn't do the full deep dive into the corn, but there's got to be some corn dogs at the state fair.
Can you
right?
be a state if your state fair doesn't have corn dogs? I guess that's the
That
question.
might be what's keeping us back here. That might be the last straw. What else? On Sunday, at the Bullpen and Navy Yard for $15 is Injera Festival.
Oh my lord!
For those who don't know, Injera is the fermented bread used in a lot of Ethiopian and Eritrean food. It's delicious. I think there's going to be music. It's at the Bullpen, like I said, which is like a big outdoor space. There's going to be a bunch of different tastings of different Ethiopian and Eritrean foods.
Is there like a variety of tastes of injera, or is injera taste like whichever dish you're dipping it in?
From what I'm seeing, that's more of just the title of the event, and it's more focused on generally the cuisines of Ethiopia and Eritrea. Yeah, I think just eating straight injera in different forms might get a little bit repetitive. But they do have the chips too now, so there's different ways to consume it. So that one's $15, 2 to 9 p.m., Navy Yard. My last one is not from Kayla's list. This is something that I found. Do you guys know what rug tufting is?
I don't know if I
Do
want
not.
Yeah, it sounds kind of crazy now that you mention it.
It sounds like a euphemism for something like
It's-
unspeakable on the
yeah.
on,
When you
on,
put it
on a
that
family
way.
podcast.
Once I said it out loud, I had second thoughts. But rug tufting is it's pretty much rug making, but you use a rug gun pretty much. So there's these guns that are almost like stapler guns or something, but they're filled with yarn.
No attorney general is going to sue over that gun.
I mean, this is taking place in Maryland, so maybe that's the next case.
If you got busted for a straw purchase of rug tufting guns, that would be a low moment.
Don't blow up my spot. It's coming in. But this is at Tufting Up Studio in Hyattsville. So pretty much it's a class. It is $100. They have classes on Saturday and Sunday at 11 a.m. and 2:30 p.m. Pretty much you get in, you get to design a rug, and then you use this fancy rug tufting gun to shoot the yarn into the rug and create your. I don't know. It sounds really. I've been seeing this style of art on the internet a lot in the past couple of years, and I saw this class, and it sounds cool. It is $100, so you have to have it like that, and you do get a pretty small rug from what I've seen, but could be a start of a new business or a new hobby. So.
What kind of rug would you make, Ash?
CityCast DC rug, obviously.
Of course, the best kind of rug.
You know, I love a good Turkish rug design, and I can think of no better way to get Americans geeked out on rug design than by using a gun.
Shooting them.
So, there you go.
Best of all worlds.
That's right.
Ash, I hope you go there and I hope you make one of those CityCast rugs. We will give it away to, I don't know, maybe we'll give it away to one of our new members because I want to encourage everyone to sign up to be a member of CityCast. It's only $8 a month. You get a members-only email that comes out Monday afternoons with a week's worth of events. You get access to our own events early. You get ad-free listening. It's only $8 a month. Join at membership.citycast.fm. And if you do, I will strongly encourage Ash to personally make you your own CityCast rug.
That's right.
Ash, awesome to see you, man.
Good to see you too.
Cuynet, thanks for being here.
Always fun to join.
And that is all for today here on CityCast DC. Our production team this week was Brianka Tilve, Julia Karen, Ash Durban, and Selena Say Reynolds. Newsletter editor Kayla Cote-Semmerman wrote our fabulous newsletter Hey DC this week. And our hosts are Bridget Todd and me, Michael Schaefer from Politico. Music is by Alex Roldan. If you enjoyed the show, why not write about it on your own rug with your own rug gun? We'll be back Monday morning with more news from around the city. Bye.